Good morning, everyone. This is Stephen from Acumen. We're going to go ahead and get started. Please note this webinar is listen only. If you have any questions, please use the chat option or wait until the end for a Q&A proportion of the webinar. For today's webinar, we are going to recap Sage Summit and go over the Sage300 Cloud roadmap ahead, along with new features coming soon. And for that, I'm going to pass on to my favorite Sage representative, Renee, and she will get started with the webinar.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. As Stephen mentioned, my name is Renee Lemura, and I am the field sales engineer with Sage. And the products that I support is Sage300 and Sage300 Cloud, as well as Sage CRM. So on today's webinar, what I will be doing is walking you through, as Stephen mentioned, the Sage300 road ahead, providing you with a recap of the releases, as well as what is projected to come in the next 12 months for this solution. Now, one important thing to note here before we get started is what the current actually supported solutions are for Sage300, what those versions are. And those versions that are currently supported is version 2019, 2018, and 2017. All prior year versions have been in fact retired and are no longer supported by Sage. Now, why I mention this is because it's important to understand why you should be on the latest version. And that latest version being 2019. And the reason being that is to be able to ensure that our customers are in fact taking full advantage of those enhancements made in the solution, as well as for allowing greater efficiencies and use of further modernization within your organization, okay? So on today's call, I have a lot of great things to share with you, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the webinar. Now let's start with Sage300 Cloud 2019.0 release, okay? So this release here was released in August of 2018. And the first important enhancement that was made in this release was dealing with the integration with Sage300 Cloud and CRM. Now, the way that these two solutions integrate has been completely redesigned and revamped to really improve that usability and performance for our customers. The integration screens now have that same look and feel as the web screens. So if you're very familiar to the Sage300 Cloud screens, how the look and feel is today, some of those entry screens are in fact the same now from an integration perspective in Sage CRM. Now let's take a look here. So what are we looking at? We are looking at the 5 main areas of enhancements within this one particular first enhancement, meaning that Sage300 Cloud and CRM integration. Well, what really have we enhanced in this area? So these 5 circular icons here is what I'm going to touch upon at a high level today to just give you a real understanding of what's actually been offered and then what's to come. Now, from a CRM inquiry tool, this inquiry feature here provides filtering at the column level. Okay, and as you can see here, this is a snapshot here of the order entry invoices within the CRM solution. Okay, this here is a granular level detail where you have the ability to drill down from a column level, not by a row level, but by a column level. You have the ability to have all of these columns displayed or minimized based upon the columns that you wish to see from an organizational standpoint. And you have the ability to rearrange these columns through drag drop functionality feature. Okay, as you can see on the next screenshot here, this here brings us to that next circular icon, and I'll be jumping back and forth in just a minute, but on this particular page here, you could see we're trying to highlight the real user interface from a user standpoint. So what I mean by this is these particular field entry screens, this is the exact same entry screens that you see in Sage300 Cloud screens. Okay, so really leveraging the learning curve, as well as really leveraging the efficiencies from a user standpoint to make the job seamless. Now let's just go back for a second. So here, the next circle that we're going to touch upon is the quote to order. And here, when you have Sage300 and you have your Sage CRM solutions, these are integrated solutions, the systems talk to each other, okay? And they talk to each other in certain areas, one of which being your quote to order. Now, the field entry screens, as I just mentioned, and I'm re-emphasizing this because it's really important because this is where that redesign came in, is that we're leveraging those screens from the Sage300 web screens now in the Sage CRM screens. Okay, so we're really leveraging that to make it a seamless integration for our customers. As you can see, the next circle, the administration circle, the focus in this area was around simplifying the setup integration, synchronizing currency links, as well as setting up Sage300 user level and database security. So we've recognized that all these areas are very, very important from an organization standpoint, making sure that only certain representatives have information to certain areas, as well as making sure the systems are talking to each other. So in regards to currency links, think about Sage300 today, how you're utilizing it. If you're utilizing it from a multi-currency aspect, you now have the ability to see Sage CRM in those equivalent currencies as well. As we touch upon the two purple circles, technology and customization, we're going to kind of link that together. So around technology, there has in fact been improved modernization from a technical architectural standpoint, okay? And this is something that continues to be further enhanced with each and every release, and it has come a long way. We're seeing and really driving that full enhancement in this particular release. Around customization at a high level, there is no longer any coding required on either the Sage300 or the CRM side. So again, coming a huge way to making it again drive home for our customers to really give that user interface, maximizing that. Now, I do understand that many of the customers on the phone today currently do not have Sage CRM solution, and that's okay, because the Acumen team here is here to help you guys really do that deep dive into Sage CRM, allowing you guys to see exactly what the solution looks like, what it feels like, how you're actually going to utilize it, and then seeing that actual integration from Sage300 to really see if this is actually a fit for your organization. So now let's just take a moment here. I know that's like, wow, a lot to digest, but this is what's in the 2019. This is step one of the enhancement. Now more is to come. Now let's move on to the second enhancement. The second enhancement in the 2019.0 release was around ad hoc inquiry. Okay, and this here is this has been built within the Sage300 cloud screens. Okay, so this tool has been redesigned to be a much more powerful and versatile tool within your Sage300 cloud screens and within the Sage300 cloud database. This particular tool really allows you to have, to really drive that information that you're trying to pull, and you have the ability to run standard queries built right out of the box and ready to go, or you have the ability now to create your own custom queries. Okay, so really to be able to draw that information specific to your needs and within your organization. Now, the next enhancement that was made within the Sage 2019.0 release is in fact around global search. Now, what is global search? Well, this search feature exists both within your classic desktop screens as well as the cloud or web screens. And this functionality here, it's a utility tool that allows you to pull information regarding records and transactions. It looks to your entire Sage300 database to be able to pull up that information that allows you to drill down, making this a very intuitive search feature. As you can see on this next screen, this is ways in which you can filter down to that granular level of detail to be able to pull up, say, those invoices or those purchases that might be in question or in review, okay? Now, it's not limited to this search criteria. You can, in fact, in the search box up at the top, you can type various names, companies, contacts, whatever it might be, to really help drive down to that granular detail that you need to be pulling up, rather than searching endlessly through the system trying to get back to that invoice or say that payment that might be in question. So this here is a global search feature that we've realized is a pain point for our customers, and we've built this to really help them drive and be able to get the information they need on a much more efficient manner. Now, within this particular version, we've had to acknowledge that there has been an end-of-life product. And within the end-of-life product is around the electronic fund transfers, okay? So as of August 2018, when this 2019 version came out, this is the area that has in fact been retired, okay? And Orchid Systems now is the product of choice to fulfill this requirement to allow our customers to still have access to be able to do electronic fund transfers regarding their accounts receivable as well as their accounts payable modules. Now, that was a recap of the Sage 2019.0 release, okay? So that's when the brand new version came out. Now within the versions, we have product updates, which are it's not a brand new release, but it's obviously further enhancements made throughout as this new version is up and running. So as we move on to the product update 1, and this was released in December of 2018, we have now built the integration with Office 365 around your Sage Contacts, okay? Now within this, Sage Contacts is an app for Office 365, and what this does is it lets you view and manage your Sage300 customer information within Outlook, okay? So now this gives you a quick glimpse of what this is actually looking like. Now this here is a view from my actual desktop, but I will now show you what it will look like from your mobile device. Again, really driving home, especially if we have salespeople out in the field, this is something that is very, very crucial that you could pull up on your mobile device and view the following tabs. As you can see up at the top here, it's broken down into 4 different areas. You have your overview tab, your history tab, your communication tab, and your notes/memo tab. Okay, so one thing to note though, in order to be able to use this functionality, each user must have that relevant accounts receivable security authorization within their Sage 300. Okay, so we have to minimize who has exposure to this information, obviously keeping in mind we do have to remain compliant. Now within the overview tab, some of the information here that you're going to have access to is it's going to show customer detail at a high level, credit information such as the credit limit, who the contact is, who the salesperson is associated, and then the price level that this particular customer is at. If you click on the next tab, and I only have an overview, screenshot of this tab, but as you would move into the next tab, which is the history tab would show the corresponding information such as your customer balances, average days to pay, recent invoices, and recent payments. Now, one thing to note here, the 20 most recent invoices and payments is what's going to be accessible through the Office 365 Sage Contact integration. Anything beyond 20 invoices, you would actually go back to your Sage 300 Classic desktop view to search beyond the most recent 20 invoices and payments, okay? As you move to the next tab, this is the communication tab, and this is going to show you a list of the latest emails received from the customer, okay? So if this email address is associated with multiple Sage 300 customers, all of those corresponding emails will appear, and then you would search throughout that criteria as you would. Now the notes and memo functionality. So this here, I'd like you to think for a moment. As a user of Sage 300, if you utilize the notes functionality, when it pops up on the corresponding entry screens, you have the following. You could enter in notes, and then you can filter it based upon how you've been set up, as you can denote that note as an active note, a expired note, a future note, or a dismissed note. Within the Outlook Office 365, you have the ability now to only show it as a status of active. So only active status notes are going to actually appear here. You're going to be able to type in notes up to 250 characters. So again, this is important from a user standpoint. And then again, the 20 most recent notes and memos are going to be shown in this integration. Anything beyond that, you would again utilize your Sage300 Classic desktop screen. Now, one thing that jumped out to me when we actually built in this integration is this particular interface reminds me very, very much of Sage CRM together. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Sage CRM is an integrated solution with Sage300, and Sage CRM also partners with Sage CRM together, really giving you that full one-stop shop to really drive and enhance your experience as a user. So again, that's something to note too, and that can be discussed in much more detail beyond this call. Now, the second and last enhancement made to the 2019.1 release was around tax compliance. Okay, now tax compliance, this enhancement has been made to both the classic desktop screens as well as to the cloud or web screens. Okay, so around tax compliance, we built this out further, and this is accessible through the tax services module within Sage300 solution. Within the tax services area, you now have the ability to have reverse charges on purchases, as well as withholding taxes on purchases. Now, for those of you that may not know, what are reverse charges on purchases? Well, this is a tax amount owed on those goods or services that you purchase, which you must remit directly to the relevant tax authority instead of paying it directly to the vendor. And then withholding taxes, many of us are familiar with that. We obviously experience that when you're looking at your W-2 and stuff, anything that's withheld, and you have the ability now to withhold either the entire amount or that portion equivalent to your purchases. Now, that was a summary of what was released in 2019.1. Now let's move on to what was just released last month. And what was just released last month was the 2019.2 release. Okay, this was released back in April. And within this release, we have come a long way, and we have actually now just touched upon and got our toes wet with project and job cost. So within the accounts receivable entry screens, we have now a checkbox pertaining to job related. And as you can see right here, it's highlighted in yellow. When you select that particular box, it will then populate and bring you right to those designated areas that are applicable to and relate directly to the job within your accounts receivable tab. So as you can see here, when you click on that job related area, it brings you straight to the contract, the project, the category, and the cost class applicable to this particular job. So now at this particular point, we have come a long way, and we realize the importance of this. And this is step one, phase one of project and job cost. What's to come in the future, I will cover in just a moment. As you can see here, just as a recap as well, this is what your accounts receivable receipt entry looks like as it pertains to your job related fields as well. So again, just giving you different types of screenshots, look and feel as to what's available for you today within the cloud screens. So now at this point, everything that I have mentioned and discussed so far is a recap of what is available today. Now, let's take a look at what's to come in the next 12 months. As you can see here, let's start with the column most farthest to the left, and that's your August 2019 column. This year, when August comes, we actually will be releasing version 2020, so a brand new version. Now, as a user of Sage300 currently, think about how you utilize the cloud screens today. Now, if you've noticed, you're only able to open one company per browser. We've realized that this is, in fact, a pain point for many of our customers, and we're going ahead and building that out further. So you now have the ability to, as when this is released, you will have the ability to open multiple companies within the same browser. As you move further down, we are continuing to further build out that Sage CRM improvement integration. Okay, so again, highlighting the importance of this, the revamp of the architectural around the Sage CRM and how it integrates into Sage300. As you move down to the next tab, this is also a new feature that's coming, and we've realized how important this is, but the ability to enter in your time cards now within the web screens. Okay, so again, building that user interface, that greater level of efficiency, and you'll be able to enter in your time in and time out from your mobile device. As you move over to the December 2019 column, this reflects the 2020.1, which is product update 1, projection for what's to come. So we're going to have build out further around your GL, which is your general ledger taxes, further enhancing the compliance around that. And now again, take a step back and think. When you enter in customer information and vendor information, both in the classic screens as well as the desktop screens, and you get to that contact information, you're only able to enter in one contact. Well, we've realized once again that this is a pain point, and we're building that out further. So now you're going to have the ability to enter in multiple contacts for both your customers as well as your vendors. And then what's projected to come is withholding taxes on sales invoices. So what I had just mentioned regarding the tax compliance for product update 2, around that was withholding taxes on purchases. Well, what we're building out now next to come within the next 2 releases is withholding taxes on sales invoices. Okay. Now, as you look over to the April 2020 column, what we have around this here, and this is going to be reflected in product update 2. So come full circle, this is a year out from where we stand as of last month. We now will have a Sage Banking Cloud. And you might be saying, what the heck is the Sage Banking Cloud? Well, the Sage Banking Cloud, this is going to allow you to take control of your business's finances with money management solutions, okay? And these tools here will allow you to be able to manage your finances, pay others, as well as help you get paid from an organization just within the Sage Business Cloud. So what we're trying to do is make it a one-stop shop for our customers to be able to complete task 1 to task however many in one environment, not having all these separate silos. As you move on to the Office 365 workflows, this enhancement is going to be added to the web screens, okay? And this here is a cloud-based software that is going to allow the employees to create and automate your workflows and tasks across multiple applications and services. So again, really coming full circle and really trying to modernize the technology available to make your jobs much more easier and operable in an efficient manner. As you can see here, as we move down, and the last thing that I'm going to highlight here is the project and job cost. So as we had touched upon, what's available today is the project and job related checkbox built within the accounts receivable web screens and on the classic desktop screens. Well, we've actually now are taking it a step further, and this is a year out projection, and we're going to actually have those project and job cost transaction screens up and running in the cloud screen environment. Okay, so with that, that's a wrap. And now I'd like to open it up for any questions that you might have for me.
Hi guys, please feel free to use the chat box if you have any questions. We will read them out loud and go from there. Okay, so we have one question that came in. The question is, if we aren't on version 2019, how can we upgrade?
Okay, so great question, and a question I get fed all the time. So how you'd be able to get upgraded is you'd work with the Acumen team. And first, what would take place is we would have to migrate you off of your current version up to 2019. So it's through a migration. And then from 2019, once that's up and running, then you would have access to be able to download Product Update 1, Product Update 2 to get the latest and greatest functionality to be able to utilize within the organization.
So if you guys are interested in getting an upgrade, just please reach out to your Acumen account manager and they'll be able to assist you. We have one more question that came in. The question is Sage pushing everyone to the cloud versions?
So the answer to that is no. But why the cloud version is at the forefront right now is due to the connectivity that is available from a user standpoint. So if you utilize the Sage300 cloud versions, you still will get your classic desktop screen as well as the cloud screens, and that's going to be simply a user preference. But with the cloud screens, you have the connectivity to build out further with other third-party integrations, as many third-party integrations that are out there today are cloud-based applications. So to be able to integrate with the cloud screens is much more desirable.
Thanks, Renee. And then we're gonna do one more question, and then the question is, can you go over one more time the EFT process module?
Okay, so so what I have, what I can share, and then you'd be able to actually work with the Acumen team as to the product that now is the chosen product. So the electronic funds transfer module within your accounts receivable and your accounts payable, what that used to do is you would be able to actually electronically transfer funds directly from Sage300. Unfortunately, Sage300 has end of life that functionality. You still have obviously your accounts receivable and your accounts payable because that's the core financial piece. But through Sage, that's no longer an option. So what we've done is we've actually turned off the electronic funds transfer ability. With the integration with Orchid Systems is now the chosen third-party integrated solution that will, without you having to worry about it, it's going to be seamlessly built into Sage300, and you will then be able to have your electronic funds transfers made from your accounts receivable and payable within the solution, but it's just now external to Sage300. It's not an actual built-in functionality with Sage300 where it used to stand.
Thanks, Renee. So since we are running out of time, if you guys have any more additional questions, please feel free to email us at am@acumenfl.com. This webinar will be posted on our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter to get some more information. And that will be conducting our webinar. Thank you guys for everything. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.